Icons, legends, stars. Hi, my name is Matthew, and you might know me as BLACKBoy on TikTok, it's BLACKBoy on Twitter, BLACK_Matt_ on Instagram, or you might not know me at all. And for those of you who don't, I am a content creator that talks all things World of Wonder and Drag Race, especially that of Drag Race outside of the US. And today for my what video are we on? 16th? Today for my 16th video ever, you already know, let's talk about Global All-Stars. On December 12th, 2022, news broke out that World of Wonder would be producing a new franchise of Drag Race known as Global All-Stars, which would later be streaming on MTV and Paramount+. The franchise would be a new venture consisting of global glamazons from countries around the world, all competing in one setting under the watchful eye of RuPaul. And on Monday, July 14th, 2024, the cast of 12 queens was finally revealed, one per country, which just... I could not be more excited. And, well, I recognize that most of the mainstream fandom of Drag Race doesn't really watch the international franchises. The majority will watch Drag Race US, US All-Stars, probably UK, and maybe Canada if they're feeling crazy. My point here is that Global All-Stars is probably going to be the introduction of a lot of queens to a lot of people. And if you are one of those people, well, this video is for you. Consider this a companion piece that you can reference when you engage with the promotional material for this season, where we cover the very basics of each contestant, their track record, their placements, and their best moments in my opinion. So I'm calling this a quote-unquote beginner's guide, where I do my best to introduce the mainstream audience to the international girls competing on Global All-Stars. And in addition to that, give a refresher to all of you who have watched the various franchises. What are my credentials, you may be asking? Drag Race is simply one of my hyperfixations. I have seen every single franchise, every single season, every single episode. And I thought it would be fun if I used all of those hours rotting in my apartment watching Drag Race for the greater good. You guys ready? Let's get started. Alyssa Edwards. I don't even need to introduce this queen. You know her, you love her, it's literally Alyssa Edwards. I toss around the word prolific on this channel often, but all for naught, the word applies to Alyssa. Hailing from season 5 in All-Stars 2, Alyssa quickly became one of the fan favorites of all time, due to her humorous personality, her eccentric persona, and of course her amazing dancing skills. She is a dancer. If I am not mistaken, she will describe herself as a dancer, as a choreographer, before she describes herself as a drag queen. I mean, for God's sakes, she owns and operates her own dance studio called Beyond Belief Dance Company. On season 5, Alyssa's first stint on Drag Race, she finished with 6th place. She acquired one win during, you guessed it, a dance challenge, where she performed a ballet number with her quote-unquote arch nemesis, Coco Montrese. Alyssa was also up for elimination 3 times, first being part of a double Shantae with Roxy Andrews, then sending home Ivy Winters, before ultimately getting eliminated by Coco Montrese. She then made her triumphant return to the second season of All-Stars, where she did do a little better, having placed 6th. No, she did not, having placed 5th. Which, yes, does make Alyssa one of 2 queens on Global All-Stars that are not finalists. We'll get to the other one in a second. On All-Stars 2, Alyssa won 2 challenges, the Rusical and the Comeback Stand-Up Challenge, which, yes, does make Alyssa Edwards one of the elusive comeback queens. Unfortunately still, she did not make the finale, having been cut right before by her season 5 sister Detox. But even though she never made the finale, Alyssa Edwards is nothing short of an icon. In fact, I would probably put her in the top 10 most famous drag queens of all time, let alone top 10 most famous Drag Race alum of all time. And her best moments were just those goddamn Alyssa-isms.
Back rolls, it was rigged.
Rigor Morris, girl! It was rigor Morris, girl!
Why you being cute?
Alyssa had so many kooky little quirks and sayings that she had during her season that really just propelled her into the fans' hearts. And I just can't wait for a 3rd season of all these Alyssa-isms. Kitty Scott Claus. Next, we are moving over to the UK with Kitty Scott Claus, who represents Drag Race UK by hailing from the franchise's 3rd season. Oh, sorry, it's the UK. The franchise's third series. In my opinion, Kitty Scott-Claus is an underrated icon from Drag Race UK. She finished the season as one of its runner-ups alongside Ella Vidae, both having lost to one Crystal Versace, the youngest Drag Race winner of all time. Kitty occupies an interesting place within the pantheon of drag as having been one of the very few queens to never place below safe on her season. That being said though, she was definitely a late game player. She didn't win her first challenge until episode 7, the Miss Fugly Beauty Pageant, i.e. that season's ball. Then, one episode later, Kitty went on to win a joint win with her season 3 sister Ella Vidae after participating in an acting challenge called Bra Wars. In my opinion, Kitty represents a facet of drag that nobody really else on Global All-Stars does. She is a comedy queen. Now, obviously, that's not to say the other contestants can't be funny, no. But Kitty perfectly exemplifies the comedy queen genre. She can crack jokes on a dime, she can serve an absolute unadulterated level of camp, and she can make RuPaul laugh for the most stupid sense of humor. And that power will always come with its advantages. Kitty's best moments were her confessionals, through and through. She was just so funny and charismatic, and you just couldn't help but fall in love with her, especially as a fan when you get to watch those confessionals. I am so excited for Kitty Scott-Claus, and I just can't wait to see her on Global. Queen Kong. Next up, we are going down under with Queen Kong representing Drag Race Down Under Season 2. And though this is a RuPaul season, I harbor to guess not many of you have watched it. Like Kitty Scott-Claus, Queen Kong finished her season with 2nd/3rd place, having lost to Spanky Mother Tucker Jackson. But, unlike Kitty, she did not escape Down Under unscathed. She lip-synced for her life twice, yet survived both of them. She first sent home Aubrey Have in episode 2, and then Beverly Kills in episode 6, which was simply one of the most chaotic lip syncs of all time. These shortcomings, however, did not deter Queen Kong from her successes, and she ended up winning 2 challenges. She was part of a 3-way girl group challenge win with Hanaconda and Spanky Jackson, and then won the makeover right before the finale. Queen's storyline primarily focused on her not really living up to her reputation outside of the show, which I do not think is a fair edit for a queen to get, not at all. The judges consistently told her that she's stuck in her head and she needs to break out of her shell. And eventually she did, as we can see with her track record. Queen's best moments were by far the performances she had in her girl group challenges, both of them. These were the moments where she exploded with power and charisma that made her season-long story arc worthwhile, especially for the fans. And all of this gives her a ready-made shorthand storyline to go into Global All-Stars with. And she's undoubtedly going to be a major threat this season now that she is fully formed. Pythia. Representing the 2nd season of Canada's Drag Race, we have the icon, we have the legend, we have the Greek goddess Pythia. Hailing from Montreal, Pythia is a runner-up on her season, sharing the 2nd/3rd place spot with her season 2 sister Kendall Jenner, both of whom lost the crown to icon and legend Isis Mother Couture. She entered the season immediately establishing herself as one of the most conceptual queens ever, with creative, experimental, and out-of-the-box runways that really captured her mind as an artist. And this quality was almost instantly recognized by the judges. She won her first challenge in episode 2 for that season's Rusical called Under the Big Top, one of the best episodes of Drag Race ever, don't at me. And then she finished her season with a makeover win. Despite only claiming 2 challenges, viewers of Canada's Drag Race will know that Pythia kind of wasn't bad at anything. As I said earlier, Pythia thinks outside of the box, and her talent is being able to jerry-rig that to each task. She knew immediately how to apply her way of thinking to the challenges without ever sacrificing the character that her drag possesses. And these sort of queens are very successful on RuPaul seasons. I don't mean to compare queens, but I think that Willow Pill had the same skill that Pythia has, and we saw exactly how that turned out for her. Pythia's best moment was without a doubt her Under the Big Top runway. This was probably one of the best things that we've ever seen, namely because it's the first time we've seen anything like it. I honestly feel like I don't even have to say anything, just look at the iconicness of this runway. Gala Varo. So now we're breaking into the non-English speaking franchises, and I want to start first with, well, Gala Varo. Gala Varo is one of 3 runner-ups on Drag Race Mexico Season 1. She lost the title to controversial winner Christian Peralta. See my video on Drag Race Mexico for more thoughts on that. Gala was notably a lip-sync assassin. Though she was only in the bottom twice, her lip-syncs are heralded as some of the best of the season, if not the best of the season, sending home fellow lip-sync assassin Argenis and then Lady Caro. She did find herself in the top many times, however, claiming a joint win with her Season 1 sister Matraka for that season's Girl Group Challenge, claiming a top 2 spot for a Denim Design Challenge, and then claiming a robbed spot for the Latinas Makeover Challenge. I will die in that hill. That win was hers. Gala Varo was also a confessional queen on Mexico 1. She always had a hilariously shady comment to say, and the producers made sure they included every single one of them. But despite that, Gala never came across as mean-spirited, and instead was one of the warmest lights of the show. I think on Global All-Stars, she'll bring that same energy, and I just can't wait for everybody to fall in love with her. Gala's best moment on the show was the makeover. She is a robbed icon. This look is legendary, and I can't believe that she... Please excuse my brief outburst. Let's move on. Ava LaQueen. Obviously, you can't have Global All-Stars without the Philippines. Who has Ava LaQueen representing them? Ava is a finalist on the first season of the franchise, finishing with 3rd/4th place after losing a lip sync to that season's winner, Precious Paula Nicole, in the finale's lip sync for the crown. Despite being a finalist though, she unfortunately never claimed a challenge win, making her one of 2 queens on Global without a challenge win, and again, we will get to the other in a second. However, that's not to say she didn't come close a couple of times. Her Snatch Game, for example, was a notable highlight in her Drag Race career, and her talent show was one of the best of the night. Yet she was unable to escape the bottom 2 on her season. She lip-synced for her life once in the Shop Shop Ladies Ball in episode 7, where she sent home Venus Deluxe, which, as a brief aside, I have to say was one of the most heartbreaking moments for me as a viewer of Philippines 1, because I love Venus Deluxe. Anyways, this episode kind of inadvertently created one of the funniest moments on the show, because, well, during critiques, Ava was hounded by one of the rotating judges, Rajo Laurel, who said her runway was trash. Ava promptly began crying in Untucked, and it was very emotional, of course, and my heart was breaking for her. But when Marina Summers walked up to her and tried to console her, let's just say that Marina tripped over her words. Roll the clip.
You were never pressure.
It's not the dress, it's you.
And yes, this was my choice for the best Ava LaQueen moment. Love you, Ava. Miranda LeBrão. Brazil! Up next, we have Brazilian icon and sensation Miranda LeBrão from the first season of Drag Race Brazil. Once again, we have a queen that represents 1/3 of 3 runner-ups, sharing the spot with her Season 1 sisters, Bettina Polaroid and Elena Malgita, all of whom lost to Organza. Her primary storyline revolved around her not really having a badge for the majority of the season, as queens such as Organza, Elena, Shannon, and Naza started racking in the wins. The edit primarily showed us only Miranda wishing she had one, which once again I think is an unfair edit because it only shows a queen as one-dimensional, and anybody who knows Miranda LeBrão knows that she's anything but. She eventually did get her badge, however, claiming the season's ball, but soon thereafter she lip-synced for her life in the season's makeover, sending home Shannon Scarlett, who is an icon herself. There's something to be said about Miranda's charisma that really is intoxicating for a lot of reasons. The one I want to hone in on, and also the one I want to choose as her best moment, is really her pride in her Brazilian heritage. You know, the first season of Drag Race Brazil, every single queen there was so ecstatic to be part of this franchise that had been waiting for so long to be produced. But Miranda's was especially palpable. As a viewer, you could tell with her what it means to do drag in Brazil, and I think that's going to filter into Global All-Stars, and I just can't wait to see it. SOOOO de Muse. Now we have a little old icon known as SOOOO de Muse from Drag Race France Season 1. I'm gonna be straight up with you guys, this is one of my favorite queens of all time, point blank period. Probably top 5 ever. You all have no clue what it means to me that she is part of this cast. When the early leaks of the rumored cast started to come out and I saw SOOOO's name as part of that list, Oh, my heart leaped. I was so ecstatic beyond measure. I mean, granted, that is the case with a lot of queens on this cast, but that really rang true for SOOOO. It is such a privilege for me to get to introduce her to all of you. SOOOO de MUSE was a runner-up of the French franchise. Both her and UK vs. the World 2 alum La Grande Dame lost the crown to Paloma. She established herself early on as one of the key players of the season, winning the very first challenge, the talent show, right out of the gate. Soon thereafter, however, she found herself in the bottom for 2 episodes in a row, for the season's acting challenge and then the season's ball. But if there's one thing you need to know about SOOOO de MUSE, it is that she is a performer. And these lip syncs showcase that to an umpteenth degree. Her, dare I say, aura explodes when she hits that stage and that music starts to play. And in doing so, she sent home Lova La Diva and La Brioche in her wake. And SOOOO brought those performance skills all the way to a second challenge win with the girl groups, where honestly, I can't stop thinking about her verse, and that is my pick for her best moment of the season. Though she lost the crown, I still think she was that close to taking it. That close. Granted, France Season 1 was one of the closest calls in terms of finales ever, but SOOOO de MUSE was just so close to that crown. And I may be biased in saying that, but if my opinion doesn't matter to you, at the very least, I implore you to pay particular attention to SOOOO de MUSE, and I promise you, she will fulfill expectations. NEHELLENIA. Ciao Italia, poi abbiamo NEHELLENIA di Drag Race Italia 2. Okay, I promise I won't say this whole section in Italian. NEHELLENIA is once again a runner-up. She shares the 2nd/3rd place spot with a Queen of the Universe contestant. Big shocker. That queen, of course, being Aura Eternal. They both lost to Drag Race juggernaut La Diamond. Just as a brief aside, this is the only top 3 in Drag Race history where not a single queen lip-synced for her life. And that's because the 4th finalist, La Petite Rose Noire, got eliminated by the host Priscilla right before the final lip-sync. But yeah, anyways, neither La Diamond, Aura, or NEHELLENIA lip-synced for their lives. So if that tells you anything about NEHELLENIA, that means she is a damn good competitor. Similar to Kitty Scott Claus, she never spent a single episode below safe, and also similar to Kitty Scott Claus, she was also a late season player, not winning her first and only challenge until episode 6, 2 episodes before the finale with her iconic makeover. I should also note though that 1 episode prior, NEHELLENIA did lip sync for the win for the season's Rusical, but ultimately ended up losing to La Petite Rose Noire. But that's still an extra top 2 placement under her belt. Interestingly, NEHELLENIA is the only queen this season competing with the title of Miss Congeniality. Well deserved, because she is a radiant personality. I've had the opportunity of speaking with NEHELLENIA before, and I just can't find a sweeter person on the planet. There are a lot of moments we can highlight about NEHELLENIA on Italia 2, especially with her visionary runways, but I do want to bring attention to her snatch game iconico perché è stato molto divertente. I'll put a clip of it here, but it truly was everything. I think people are already sleeping on NEHELLENIA, mainly because Italia isn't the most popular franchise in the world, but watch out for her. TESSA Testicle. Now, next. Can you say leggings? Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, let me introduce you to TESSA motherfucking Testicle. TESSA hails from the very first season of Drag Race Germany. However, unlike the vast majority of the global cast, she is not a finalist. So you might be thinking to yourself, valuable viewer, well, if she's not a finalist, she must have a similar placement to Alyssa Edwards, with 5th or 6th place? Maybe a challenge win or 2? Well, no. But before I do get into her actual track record, I do want to remind you all that TESSA is that girl, and a single track record does not a queen define. There are a lot of factors we have to consider here, including Drag Race Germany mistreating her and her Swiss sister Victoria Shakespeare's. Video on that coming soon. Despite that though, TESSA is still one of the most iconic figures of that season. Don't get it twisted. Got it? So, TESSA competed in 5 episodes of Drag Race Germany before ultimately getting sent home with 8th place. In those 5 episodes, she lip-synced 4 times. 4 for the premiere runway, the Rusical, the commercial, and the courtroom improv challenge. The first lip sync was a double Shantae, and then subsequently Tessa sent home the only Naomi and Lele Cocoon until she finally lost her fourth lip sync against the season's winner, Pandora Knox. Obviously, this is not the best track record in the world, but it might actually work in Tessa's favor for two reasons. One, many fans will underestimate her, point blank period. And two, this is the perfect launchpad for her to have one of the greatest comebacks in Drag Race history. And in my opinion, she will. If there's one thing that Tessa scratch that. If there are four things that Tessa has, it is charisma, its uniqueness, its nerve especially, and obviously talent, despite what Gianni has to say. And honestly, she proved that like nobody's business with this Global All-Stars promo look, which is kind of one of the best ones of the season. Her best moment by far is this little interaction she had in episode 4 with Gianni, which is just like lives in my mind rent-free.
Meine Frage, ist das die gleiche Leggings, die du auch im Video trägst?
Nein.
Nein? Okay.
Die Leggings waren die gleichen, aber das muss Jenny nicht wissen.
But these moments are littered throughout Tessa's 5 episodes on Drag Race Germany. Do not underestimate this girl, because I promise you, if you keep an open mind, she will be one of your favorites. Athena Likis. And then let us make our way back to the Francophones with Athena Likis representing Drag Race Belgique. Now, Belgique is an interesting franchise primarily because nobody watches it. Except me, of course. Despite that though, there is no shortage of talent. I mean, look no further than Athena. Hailing from the first season of the franchise, Athena Likis represents yet another runner-up, losing the crown to Drag QWEEN back in April of 2023. She established herself as a threat early on after claiming the premier talent show, with like a slapstick comedy routine, which based on her promo and her entrance is not something you'd expect her to excel at. But that's the thing about Athena. She is a silent killer. She subverts so many expectations and has so many hidden talents. She then later went on to win the makeover, and I am just starting to realize how many makeover winners there are on this season. Athena did lip sync for her life once in the penultimate stand-up routine, and in doing so, she sent home Mademoiselle Boop. Athena was a pleasant surprise on this global cast, and in my opinion, she is immediately going to be an underrated icon. Coming from a franchise like Belgique with so little viewership already puts her at a disadvantage, and I don't think that's right. And one particular way I think that Athena will surprise fans is through her runway package, because Athena is a runway queen. Her looks are legendary, so provocative, artistic, and inspired. And that is my best moment for her because we have a fashion queen on our hands. And if I know anything about her, I know that her looks will be no less exciting on Global All-Stars. Vanity Vane. Last, but certainly not least, we have a queen from the most underrated franchise of Drag Race ever, with Vanity Vane hailing from Drag Race Sverige, aka Drag Race Sweden. Vanity is a finalist from her season, but unfortunately she was cut right before the final lip sync, leaving her with 3rd place. She lost to Brazilian sensation Fontana, who was the runner-up, and Admira Mother Thunder who was the winner. Vanity, love her. Vanity admittedly had a really rocky start on Sverige season 1. She lip-synced for her life in episode 2 during that season's talent show, and hers was such an iconically bad talent number. You know, she had this whole point and idea where drag is a talent in and of itself, and so she painted a canvas with her hands, and then took the canvas and then flipped it over, and then revealed a pre-painted canvas that says, drag is talent. And it's just so iconic. She quickly redeemed herself, however, and earned herself a challenge win in the very next episode for the Unconventional Materials Design Challenge. And this is the episode where we see Vanity start to become a primary figure throughout Sverige 1. When lip-syncing in episode 2, many fans, i.e. all 31 people that watched Sverige, thought she wouldn't last much longer. But episode 3 is where she proved herself to the fanbase and the judges. She would eventually go on to have a few more high placements before lip-syncing for her life again in episode 7 right before the finale, eliminating Elektra. Similar to Athena, I think that being from Sverige puts Vanity at an immediate disadvantage in the eyes of the fans. Because most people are probably going to look at her and be like, who the hell is this? Not me though. I may be biased because Sverige is one of my favorite franchises of Drag Race ever. And by the very virtue of being from Drag Race Sweden, Vanity is one of my favorites from this global cast. Now, I think she has a lot of talent to back that up though. For example, she is an amazing singer and has a wonderful knack for producing and creating music. In fact, for me, her best moment is the verse that she wrote for the season's finale. It showed off her amazing singing and writing skills, and it was honestly just a beautiful moment. And that's it. Those are the 12 global icons we have competing on the first season of Global All-Stars. And I just gotta say, this cast is everything to me. Global All-Stars has been in the works for so long, and I just can't believe it's finally here. The opportunity to see all of these queens who I've grown to fall in love with over the years compete together all in one setting, it's just like, overall, I hope I did a good job of introducing you to the queens that you may not recognize. Because like I said, I love all of them, and I just hope you all get to experience them the same way that I did. The season premieres on Friday, August 16th on Paramount Plus, MTV, and WoW Presents Plus. And I look forward to discussing it with you all. I will maybe be doing a podcast covering the season, but I just haven't decided yet. However, I will be announcing it if I do. Please share with me in the comments who you enjoy, who you're rooting for, and who piques your interest. And while you're down there, please feel free to like the video and subscribe to my channel because it really helps me if you do. And as always, remember that I am just a gay person talking on the internet.